My name's Linda, and I guess we're going down the line here. And I don't have a lot to add there, except that the way that the question is posed, what should be the priority of the left in this moment, begs the question of whether the left has independent initiative and influence, which at this point the organized left does not have the level of organized voice, initiative, and influence to impact public policy as the left. So I think that's the question that's posed for us, is how do we get from where we are now to the place where we do have that kind of independent voice and initiative and influence. And I agree with essentially what others on the panel have said. Figuring out how to involve ourselves in the struggles that presently exist, many of which are not as developed and not as vigorous as we would hope they would be. But in that context, learning the lessons that we need to learn, making the connections that we need to make, and in those contexts, struggling with the most progressive agendas that we can. And the struggles around homelessness, foreclosures, joblessness, debt, the level and load of debt that working class folks are carrying, and et cetera.
My name is Jamala Rogers. I guess the thing that I think about is that it's no one particular issue that working class people are confronted with. And I live in a working class community, and all of those factors are happening simultaneously with the most brutal oppressive tactics that can be seen from, the sister talked about housing, health care, jobs and lack thereof, police brutality, all of those things working class communities are faced with. The problem is that we rarely are there. Because I do believe that if we were there in an organized presence, that the message and the vision that needs to be had, that we would say it. But we're not there. So for me, the priority is being there at those flash points when people are really upsurging and mad about one issue. That's where we need to be. In the 70s, we thought it was like the point of production, right? We all went into the factories. And then we got a little disoriented when the point of production shut down. So we out there wandering, trying to figure out what is our role. But most of us in our platforms and in our principles and in our passion talk about we need to be out there where the working class people are. So that's the first thing we need to do. We need to go to where the working class people are. And from there we can help craft a fight back that represents the passion, the hopes and dreams of the very people that are going to have to fight for it. So we're not coming in there as missionaries. You know, folks need some resources, they need some tools, but they got some insights as well. And so the disconnect always seems to be that we're somewhere else talking with other, non-profits or the progressive left or whatever, and organizing each other and claiming victories, and we should be in those working class communities.
You did well. If you'd like to talk with each other, to each other for a couple of minutes, and why don't we do that before we move on to the next question? So, anybody else want to respond to what's been said already?
Not respond, but actually ask a question of the rest of the panel, but in a certain sense to us, to all of us. One thing that is interesting, as much as there isn't a mass socialist, even a moderately strong socialist presence within a mass resistance to the decay of the capitalist system. What is interesting is the center-right, and I agree it's a fight between the center-right and the center-left in terms of legislative stuff, in terms of policy responses to unemployment, etc. It's interesting that the center-right is deploying anti-socialism as the main ideological weapon against any modern reforms that in any way limit the rights of capital. Now, it's kind of interesting. It's sort of like anti-Semitism without Jews in Poland or something, but it's anti-socialism. It's still, you know, you would think it was the Cold War still. Oh, where are the socialists? I mean, do they mean in Scandinavia, which is a mixed capitalist economy? You know, you can have national health care and still have a capitalist society. But we do have an opportunity to talk socialism to ordinary people because they're being told, they're not really being told what socialism is. It's just socialism is anything where the government does anything to help ordinary people. It's like socialism is like after Adam Smith dies or something. But in any event, how we make use of that opportunity. You know, we can hold forums and we'll get the normal crowd to talk about what is socialism, and we'll argue about it, and the other markets and state ownership, whatever, there's a workers' power, whatever. But, you know, we need to respond to that. And it's tricky because some of the stuff that's being accused of being socialist is just this strong welfare state, which, you know, you can have a capitalist society and have that, at least I'd say that it's just a strong welfare state. You know, whether you can have a strong welfare state under globalization, we can talk about. But welfare states are still exist in these capitalist societies, so it's sort of tricky. We're being told that national health care is socialism. Obviously, what we want to say, I think what we want to say, but I'll just throw this out and conclude, is socializing, decommodifying, taking out of the private market basic human needs such as health care and financing it through progressive taxation. You know, that may not be full democratic socialism, but as Gandhi once said about Western civilization, it would be a good idea.
I just want to say that I thought about that whole question of socialism when they were calling Obama socialism. I'm like, oh man, we got to be out there. But when Steve Williams in the previous panel talked about socialism in the way that he did it, someone asked, well now, what is it? Maybe we should talk about it. You reminded me that like somebody had that question, where would they go? Who are the real socialists? They don't know who they are. Our community don't know who we are. This is the time to have that conversation. I want to feel in the board about what is socialism.